I've heard of discrimination within the Black Indian community. I've heard of blacks saying, well, you know, I go into a powwow and I was looked at funny or I was talked about or whatever. Like that's not happened to me personally. Why I don't know, unless it's happened behind my back and I didn't know. But I hear, but it's not, like I said, it's not happening to me. I hear about it happening to people here and there. I haven't heard of it recently, but one thing I want to say about that is, to Native people is, we as blacks coming along during the civil rights era, when we had people of other races coming and wanting to join and help us out with the cause, we didn't say no because of your color. We said thank you and welcomed it. So you'll see people marching with Martin Luther King who are white, black, Asian, even Indian people back in the time marched along with the same reason. But
yeah, I think during the civil rights movement as well, is that we had the American Indian movement at that time, when it was, you know, first developing. We're marching and protesting against the same things alongside with the Black Panthers and many other organizations.
Exactly. And that's the way it should be. And I think that.
And with your organization, do you feel like one of the goals would be to not have to make, to either put yourself in that box, either this box or that box, but just to acknowledge that, you know, you have both cultures. And this is about, we're calling this show Black and Red Fusion.
My thing on BICONA is not so much that, the purpose of BICONA is not so that if you're Black and Indian, that you have to say you're Black and Indian. My purpose for BICONA is to wake up the Black community, whether you're Black and Indian or Black and Martian, Black and, it doesn't matter. Wake up the Black community about the family that we left behind, so that we can then help it to awaken the rest of the nation and the world to the problems. Bottom line.
Well, we've had so many issues regarding oppression in both the Black culture and both the Native culture. And even just to come together, whether you're one or the other or both, I mean, to come together and acknowledge that, you know, that we have this common history that could, coming together, that we can make so many different changes that would make so much improvement in both of our lives.
That's true. That's true. And I have a good friend, Gray Wolf, who was also with the American Indian Movement in Santa Barbara. And I told Gray Wolf, I said, you know, if there were 10 of me, there would be some changes, because I'm the kind of person that, first of all, if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it. And I've been working really hard with Native communities, the Rock and the Res thing that the American Indian Movement, BICONA, and I think HELP, I'm not sure, but HELP had organized, put together, and we're talking about putting something together this year, the same type of thing, maybe something bigger. But there's other corporations and meetings and everything I've set up to help with certain ideas that to put together certain ideas I have that will help Native community. What I'd like to see happen is a lot of these reservations, especially in the South Dakota area, the Pine Ridge and so on. A lot of them are, people don't realize they're very, very poor, third world. One thing I want to bring to the attention of the country is the happenings on the reservations and the poverty and the alcoholism and all the problems on the reservation, to show people, hey, this is happening in our own country. Okay, let's do something about it, you know. And again, I'm talking about waking up the country, but especially Black Indians, Black people who claim Indian blood, and also just the Black community in general, to help work on these issues, you know, help bring them to.
And I know that you've been very helpful and instrumental in bringing some of the awareness of things that are happening. For instance, we had some issues regarding mascots and other oppressive issues that have happened in our community, and bringing in other organizations like the NAACP and being really helpful in addressing these, especially within the media.
NAACP, yes. I've gotten the Los Angeles president, Leon Jenkins, the Hollywood chapter president, Vic Bullock, and we just met with American Indian Movement, and myself just met with the Ventura County president. We're having another meeting with him soon. And that's another thing, to get organizations like this on board, because they're very well respected. Mm-hmm. They're taking a very good interest in what I'm doing as far as waking up the community, and we're glad to have them, as part of this, part of what I'm doing too. Yeah,
I think especially with organizations like the NAACP, they've been really successful in the organization of their communities to really make positive changes for their people, and which is very helpful when it comes to us having, as a Native community, having support from other organizations that have the same type of mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important. Why not? If you were in the same boat, or we're in the same boat, then you should know how the other person feels that needs that help. So why not get together and lend a hand? Right. And I'm not saying Native people don't need a handout. A friend of mine once said, "Hey, Wolf, you shouldn't feed fish to the needy. You should teach them how to fish." And I thought, well, my brothers and sisters know how to fish already. I'm just helping to supply the fishing poles. So what I mean is, Native people aren't looking for a hand out. They're looking for a hand up, just to help. Native people are smart. Native people they're humans. I mean, there's one thing that really bothers me about the average. No, I won't say the average person. Certain people who don't see Native people as human beings. They see them as this fantasy thing they see on TV and movies, whatever. They don't see them. They see them as people who speak some kind of romantic language and ride horses, and they don't see them as real people. And they go around dressing as Indians and really disrespecting. One thing I do say, and I say all the time, is education is very important. I was just telling my good friend Corrine that, if somebody was brought up using the N-word, for example, and they didn't know the difference, and they didn't know it was wrong, and then they came up to me said the N-word just out of the blue, just like it was nothing, just it rolled trippingly from the tongue. And I said something to that person, and that person understood and didn't say it again, or understood what I meant, cool. But if I said to that person and they still continue to use it, not even thinking about what I said, shame on you. Same thing goes with the Native garb. People going around wearing Native outfits with certain, especially when they wear certain symbols that are considered very sacred. I had an argument I had a back and forth thing with a friend of mine on people dressing up with this. They have on University of Irvine did some kind of Pilgrim and Indians party, and I was telling people how disrespectful it was to be quote unquote dressing Indian. Mm-hmm. She chimed in and said, "Well, I didn't see anything wrong with it." I said, "First of all, do you know the history of Thanksgiving, the actual history?" And I told her, I put a thing about what actually happened during Thanksgiving, what it's all about. She just refused to believe that dressing as an Indian was racist, was a bad thing. I said, "Well, do you believe that blackface and the old minstrel shows was racist?" And never answered that question.
Yeah.
I said, "What if somebody walked around and paraded around as Jesus and had a fake crown on their head and blood dripping from and their wounds and everything like that, and they're parading around dancing as Jesus?" I said, "That'd be